West Ham weekly update on tommywathan.co.uk.
Hello, I'm Tommy Wathan and thank you for visiting my website, Tommy Wathan Sports Journalist. I'm delighted to be joined just around the corner from Upton Park by a true legend of the East End of London from the Cockney Reject, Mick Geggus. Mick created the punk rock band in the late 1970s with his brother Jeff, releasing a total of 8 albums over the past 34 years. Welcome, Mick.
Nice to be here, Tom.
Firstly, for those who are unaware about who the Cockney Rejects are, could you just tell us a bit about the story behind the band?
Well, basically, Tom, the first wave of punk came out in 1976, 1977, and we loved it, obviously. But the problem with it was all a load of art school guys faking working class credentials, you know. Yeah. And these people weren't the real deal by a long chalk. So we'd always wanted to be in a band. We'd always loved their heavy metal and our first wave of punk. And we thought, well, if they can do it, why can't we? And basically gate crashed our way into the scene. We weren't to everyone's taste, you know, especially the people in the music business, because we didn't never toe the party line. You know, the fictional stuff for the Pistols, and a lot of it was fictional, you know, was one thing, but they found us a little bit hard to handle. But we all came from round here, and 30 odd years later we're still at it, thankfully.
The band have changed their lineup on several occasions. Why does the lineup keep changing, and is it strange for you and Jeff to keep adjusting to the new people?
Well, strangely enough, we've been back on the road for 13 years and we've had the same lineup. That's been me, Jeff, Tony Van Frater and Andrew Lang, who were formerly in the Sunderland band called Red Alert. Before that, the stable lineup was only ever me, Jeff and Vince Reardon on bass, and we had drummers, as we all know, are very peculiar people, and they sort of come and go on a sort of with a regularity of an I-5 a diet. And but for the last 13 years we've been back together on the road. We have had a stable lineup, and we hope to keep that lineup, you know, for the rest of our time together.
Your first proper hit in the UK was The Greatest Cockney Rip-Off. Many of your other songs at the time were seen as less commercial due to some of the subjects that you spoke about and sung about. What process do you actually go through to decide all your themes and for your tracks and your albums?
Well, basically, the first album, everything was based on life experiences. You know, we spent our lives like a lot of kids did in the East End at the time, you know, regular trouble with the old bill and you know, street problems. They're nothing major, just the lives that we led. And basically in those days we sung about exactly what happened to us, and I think it struck a chord with kids throughout the country, because we were just having problems the same as any other inner city kid. Unemployment, you know what I mean, like football hooliganism and the rest of it was just like anyone else, and they identified with that like very rapidly, more so than they did with some of the, you know, the first wave of bands, maybe the Clash and all that, you know, who sung about career opportunities and, you know, garage land and all the rest of it. But the Rejects really struck a chord with disaffected youth from inner city areas all over the country, and now, as it turns out, all over the world. You know, it's still very resonant with them now, because they're still having problems in places like Brazil and parts of the USA, Australia and everywhere else, as we did in the early 80s, and kids are still continuing to have today.
Yeah. Some of the lyrics from some of your songs get a little bit violent sometimes, and the violence usually ends up being carried into some of your gigs. How mental do the gigs actually get? Because I've seen some videos, and despite being 6 foot and quite big built, I don't think I'd cope in some of them.
Well, the truth of the matter is back in the day, back in 79 and 80, it was very violent, because Britain was a very fractionalised place. The football hooligan thing was at its height, at its zenith, and you know, maybe we was unwise to sort of nail our colours to the mast so readily, but we did it because we didn't care we was who we were. And of course, you know, the gang mentality around at that time of the fractionalisation, it did create a lot of problems. But touch wood, for the last 13 years we haven't had any problems at all. Like, people all come under one roof for a big party, and if there was violence at our shows now, I assure you we wouldn't be in the game. We're too old for that. We're not into that anymore. We try and advise everyone to get along together, have one big party, and 99.9% of the time that's exactly what happens. I cannot remember a serious incident at any of the 200 or so shows we played over the last 13 years, and if there was people getting hurt in the audience or something, we would simply not do this anymore. You know, that's not the message we want to give across. This is party time, this is fun time, this is everyone unite under one flag, and that's what the Rejects are about now.
So you and Jeff have never had to use your boxing history at a gig then?
No, not for the last 13 years of constantly being on the road, no, and we never do.
What's your favourite memory or your favourite memories from the past 34 years of the Cockney Reject?
Well, there's many things. I mean, there's obviously the Top of the Pop stuff, which was quite funny. Yeah, there are many. I mean, you know, sort of playing at the Royal Festival Hall was really weird. You know, I went in front of my mum on the Morrissey bill. One of the biggest that comes to mind was playing Kevin Mitchell into the ring over here at Fortress Upton Park. You know, that meant so much to us because it had gone full circle and we'd come home after 30 odd years, you know. So a lot of the memories sort of get lost in time because you're on the road for so long and, you know, so many different places. Sometimes they'll mesh into one. But I haven't got any overbearing bad memories of the last 13 years together. I mean, there are bad memories like the Birmingham thing back in 1980, but, you know, that was as it was at the time. And you can't regret any of it because it's done and it happened. And but for the last 13 years, yeah, it's been purely an entertainment film, as I say, and bringing people together. And, yeah, I've got no bad memories, but, like, if I had to pick one, it would be coming back to Upton Park because that meant that was something special.
Do you have many other fans apart from West Ham fans, or do you find the majority are just West Ham fans?
No, it's a strange thing. I mean, as the club here now acknowledge, over the last 30 years, we've taken West Ham and helped make it an international brand. But it's not just about football. It never was. It's about the music. It's about rock and roll. And we have thousands of kids from all over the world who are not involved in football in any way. But by the same time, we've seen little firms of West Ham supporters, pockets of them everywhere we go, from the New York Hammers to Chile to Brazil, you know, even Japan. You got people walking about West Ham Cockney Rejects tattoos and all that. So yeah, we've been good for the club, I think, in that way, and I think they're starting to acknowledge that now, and we're happy to work with them on that.
Yeah, the New York Hammers, I've actually been in contact recently, and they're sending me over one of their T-shirts.
There you go.
So I know them quite well.
Yeah.
Do you have a favourite song and why?
There's so many songs over the years because we've got such an extensive back catalogue now, but I suppose when you listen to stuff like I'm Not a Fool, you know, that sort of encapsulated what we was all about in that first phase. So yeah, I love that. There's stuff off the new album like East End Babylon, the track, which is autobiographical, and there's so much in between. You know, it's one of them things you'll think, oh, I like this one, and then 10 minutes later you'll switch and you'll like something else. It's strange.
Talking about your new film coming out, East End Babylon, what was the idea behind the film?
Well, the idea behind the film was based really on Jeff's book. And, the director, Richard England, had already made a film about Dr. Feelgood, called Oil City Confidential, which was directed by Julian Temple, and that told the story of the Canvey Island rockers. But it was a lovely little film, but it was all a little bit stage, you know, it was all a bit toned down and, you know, mellowy and all the rest of it. It's just basically about a band on the road. And when Richard read Jeff's book, he was absolutely fascinated by it, you know, how frenetic it was and what a mad lifestyle we led. And he wanted to do this documentary, so we started making it. It's taken over 3.5 years. We're like making fucking Ben-Hur. And but it's not just about the band. It's tells the story of the East End of London, over 100 years of history, right through the war, from the docks, for our beginnings, you know, and then told through our eyes from then on, from the 80s, the decline of the area, the way it's gone, right up to now. So it's had seriously great reviews, and I'm very proud of it. And I'm looking forward to sitting there with a bag of Revels and watching it. Like, you know.
Has it worked out exactly how you wanted it?
Yes, it has, because I think the whole point of doing something like that is the mood. And when I watch it, it just transports me back to the 70s. You know, I'll be sitting there and you get that flavour in your mouth, and then, you know, the story continues up until sort of the present day. And yeah, I think it's exceeded my expectations, to be honest with you.
You've got an album coming out with the same name, East End Babylon. Does it contain all new material, or has it got some of your classics in there?
No, it's an all new album. It's a sort of concept album to go in cap in hand with the film. Yeah. You know, and indeed some of the music on the album is in the film. So yeah, it's all new. There's nothing repeated there. We had to go back to basics. We decided to, and give it an all out sort of punk rock album, you know what I mean, but with a social message about the way things have changed and what brought us to this point.
Now for a few questions about West Ham.
Sure.
What are your favourite memories from the past of the club?
My favourite memories are when I was a kid, over here with my dad, obviously, right, standing on an orange box, you know what I mean, on the terraces. But it was something special, the atmosphere. We still got some atmosphere over here, but you'll never replicate the days of the terraces. I mean, we all literally grew up on these terraces around here, and I mean, I loved it. You used to drink it up, and I can still hear it, you know, I can still hear that, the shouting, the screaming, the songs, and everything. Like, I used to love it. We all did.
It is quite a special atmosphere at West Ham.
We've got the greatest fans in the world. There's no doubt about it. We've always had, I mean, for all the disappointments and letdowns and crap we've had to put up with, we're all still there. You know, we soak it up every week and we carry on, and that's West Ham.
Do you get to come to Upton Park to go to many games, and do you get to go away a lot?
I don't get to go away a lot now because we're too busy with the band, but I try and get to as many home games as possible. Yeah, so we'll be at the Man City next week, definitely.
Who's your favourite West Ham player now, and who was your favourite from the past?
Well, right now I've got to say Noble. You know what I mean? Good luck with him, Mark. You know, local boy. He's a good general, reads the pitch well, you know, and he's great. I hope he stays with us for a long time, although I don't know whether he will, but I hope so. I've got a lot of respect for him. And from the past, you got to go with Bobby, ain't you? There's only one Bobby. What can you say? Greatest defender that ever lived.
I think that's what a lot of people say.
Yeah.
What about your thoughts on Sam Allardyce at the moment?
I'm not a fan of Sam. I've got to be honest, he's doing well at the moment. We're punching above our weight, but I don't like the negativity involved with it, and say defending a 1-0 lead is pointless to me. You should go for the kill, and I can't stand the idea of just keep lobbing the long ball up into the box, hit an open, you know what I mean, open it to get on the end of Carroll or Carlton Cole. It's not the style of football I like to see, but having said that, you can't argue with results. We're early in the season and he's doing well so far, so maybe he knows something I don't.
Would you be happy if he did sign a new long-term contract?
I'd rather see Paolo Di Canio over here, mate. That'd be my dream, and I know a lot of West Ham fans want Paolo because he's got hammers on his heart, you know, and I think he's got the makings of a fine Premiership manager, so that would be what I would want, and I think if you asked and polled a lot of people over here, like that, they'd say the same.
Yeah. If we did get Di Canio, though, do you not feel that we're running the risk of, if it doesn't work out, he could lose his legend status with the club? Well,
that's funny you say that, because the same happened in rugby union, didn't it, with Martin Johnson taking the England slot, you know, before he was ready. And really his disastrous World Cup run and all that, I think has tarnished his reputation as one of the sport's all-time great players. So you've got a point there, it could happen.
What about your thoughts of David Sullivan and David Gold? Do you think they've done a good job since they took over the club?
It's a tough question with Sullivan and Gold. I mean, they've done some good things, but what I don't like is their incessant insistence on publicity. You know, parking their bloody rollers and their Bentleys up in an area where people can barely afford a Renault Clio, you know, signing autographs, waving at the crowd. What's that all about? Get behind the fucking board, you know what I mean? Get back in your boardroom and work, you know what I mean? You're not a superstar, you're a club runner, you know what I mean? That's what you are. You're the owner of a club. Get back and do it, you know, but don't keep hogging the limelight. And I shall never forgive them if they ever take us over that Olympic Stadium, because I think that will be absolute ruination for this club. We don't need it. We've got a great facility here. We could build it up, build the east side up, like put another 5,000 bums on seats, and it'd have a world-class facility. I don't see what the rush is to stick us in a place. Is basically just subletting a place. If anything went wrong, we'd be homeless. You know, this would be a car park or a Tesco's or something, and we'd be homeless, and it could be curtains for the club.
Going back a couple of months, we got promoted back to the Premier League in May. Was you at Wembley for the game? If so, how did you feel when we finally got the goal and got promoted?
Yeah, we was at Wembley and it was a great day, absolutely great day. Jeff did some stuff from pitch side with Trevor Brooking, and we had a great seat. and it was just the most magic day. You know what I mean? Saying living there forever. You know, you see sort of sea of 45,000 claret and blue as far as the eye could see. You know what I mean? Mate, I get tingles thinking about it now. Great day.
When I was there, I was quite up the top, and I just went home. I was shattered when I got home because it was just so emotional the whole day.
That's exactly how I felt. We did. We was on the train home. Everyone was, geez, how'd you top that? You know? Yeah, it was magic. Absolute magic.
So you've already mentioned that you think we're punching above our weight, but like in total, how do you think we've actually started this season?
I think we've started pretty well. We've had a few drawbacks, but let's not kid ourselves here. Like the big tests that are come, you know, starting with Man City next week, you know, then we're going to get the Chelseas and the Man U's, and that is when we're going to see exactly what we've got. But you can't fault the start so far. Right now, I would stick my neck out and say it looks like we're going to well stay in the Premiership because we're playing so much better than many other clubs. But as you say, lap of the gods, let's get the big tests here first. Yeah.
See what we're really made of. Yeah.
Exactly.
Apart from Mark Noble that you've already mentioned, what other players do you think that will be key to us staying up this season?
Well, I don't know what the score is with Andy Carroll. Some say he's looking to go already, you know, so I don't really see the point of forking out all that money on a man who's clearly not committed to the club, unless that's just a rumour. Nolan, at the moment, is doing well. I like Vastey. I can see something in him, you know what I mean? He needs to gain a yard or two pace, but he's tricksy, and I think he can do good things for the club.
And finally, on the West Ham questions, where do you actually think we'll finish, like now? What exact position do you think we'll finish?
I'd like to think we're capable of definitely finishing the top half. I think we're good enough to do that. I think what we've seen so far, as I say, big test notwithstanding, I think that we are capable of ending up in the top half. I think if anything more than that is a little bit, you know, premature. But yeah, if the right choices are made and we're rolling the way we're rolling, it could happen. I hope so.
We got a couple of questions from fans now. The first one's from Kyle from Essex, who asks, where do you go for your pie and mash?
Good question. Well, you say there's a lot of discrepancy there. Now, sometimes we use Nathan's. Nathan's has a lighter liquor, right, but a fuller pie. And it may be a slightly softer crust than some others. My choice is Kelly's in the Roman Road. I love Kelly's. It's a typical down and dirty old pie and mash house, you know what I mean? Pies are always nice and crispy. So I divide my time between Kelly's and Nathan's.
The next one's from Jamie from Leeds, who asked, what is the best venue that you've ever played at?
Oh, that's a really good question, that. Best venue I've ever played at? There's been so many. There you go, we're sitting there now, I suppose. Best venue we've ever played at, Upton Park.
I suppose it is the best one. And then Matt from Canning Town asked, what is the worst thing that's ever happened at one of your gigs?
Well, obviously the worst thing that ever happened was the Battle of Birmingham, as it's become to be known. People could have died that day. It's a miracle no one did. But as I say, it happened. It was stupid. It was a fight for survival. But we all come out of it older and wiser. And hopefully nothing like that could ever happen again. Because I'd like to think people just ain't made that way, and that awful fractionalisation isn't there. Like I said before, it's a party now, you know, you all join the Rejects, don't get yourself killed, come and have some fun, you know, it doesn't matter who you support, what walk of life you come from, just come, it's a rock and roll show, just like any other. Come and have some fun and go home with good memories, and that's how I hope it'll stay.
So that's it. Thank you for meeting me and answering some questions. When is East End Babylon out?
Right, East End Babylon is in cinemas from November the 8th. So it's out next month. I hope you'll go and see it because you'll enjoy it. Have a good night out. Get your bag of Rebels, big bucket of Coke and Coca-Cola, that is, and enjoy the movie. I'm sure you won't be disappointed.
Yeah, for more information, click the links below. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom. Been a pleasure, mate.
TommyWathan.co.uk